The deadbolt on Hayden Thompson's front door was brass, heavy, and freshly damaged. That was the first thing I noticed when I stepped onto the porch. The porch light was on. The neighborhood was quiet, and the evening air smelled like cut grass and warm pavement. Everything about the cul-de-sac looked normal. 2 sprinklers clicked across the street. A golden retriever barked once behind a fence. Someone's television murmured through an open window. But the lock was wrong. Fresh scratches circled the keyhole. The metal was bright where the finish had been scraped away. The strike plate sat half a centimeter out of line, just enough to tell me someone had tested it recently. Not a burglar looking for jewelry. Someone patient. Someone proving they could get close. I didn't knock right away. I texted Hayden first. "At your place. Door lock is damaged. Are you home?" No reply. I knocked twice. Inside, something moved. Not footsteps. A quick, startled sound, like a mug touching stone too hard. "Sloane?" I called through the door. "It's Callum." A pause. Then her voice, thin through the wood. "Callum?" "Yeah. I came to see Hayden." The deadbolt clicked open, but only halfway. The chain stayed on. "Good." At least she hadn't lost every instinct. Sloane Thompson looked through the narrow gap. Hayden's older sister had always carried herself like someone who could walk into a boardroom and make the room rearrange itself around her. Tonight, she wore a blue and white floral dress with a soft cream cardigan over it, her hair loose around her shoulders, one hand still wrapped around a ceramic mug. Her eyes moved past me to the empty street. "Hayden's not home tonight," she said. "He took the red-eye to Chicago for a site visit." I looked at the damaged lock, then back at her. "Did you know someone tried to pick this?" Her fingers tightened on the door. For half a second, she looked like she might deny it. Then a sound came from inside the house. A laptop notification. She flinched. That answered more than her words could have. "Sloane," I said, keeping my voice even. "Open the door only if you want to. I'll stay on the porch if that feels safer." Her eyes flicked to my hands. I lifted them slightly, palms visible. That was my job before I ever touched a lock, camera, phone, or file. Make sure the person in front of me still had choices. The chain slid free. She opened the door wider. The house smelled like vanilla, popcorn, and coffee left too long on a warming plate. In the living room, a laptop sat open on the coffee table. A bowl of popcorn rested beside it. The television was paused on a movie, but the room did not feel like someone had been relaxing. It felt like someone had been pretending to relax while listening for footsteps. Sloane stepped back. "I'm fine," she said. "No," I answered gently. "You're standing behind a damaged lock with all the blinds half closed and a mug you haven't drunk from. You're not fine. You may be handling it, but that's different." Her mouth tightened. Most people hated being read. Sloane hated it more than most because she was usually the one reading the room first. I stayed near the entryway. "Who is he?" She looked toward the laptop. A new email notification glowed on the screen. "Unknown sender. Subject: Nice cardigan." The air changed. Sloane set the mug down very carefully on the console table. "Marcus Vance," she said. "Former VP of Operations. We fired him 3 weeks ago for embezzlement. He says I ruined his career. And now he's documenting your schedule." She swallowed. "He started with emails, then photos of my car at work, then notes. Legal said to keep records and avoid engagement until he made a direct threat." "Police?" "I filed an informational report after the second note. They said the same thing. Document everything. Call if he shows up." Her voice flattened. "He never steps fully over the line. He just stands close enough to make sure I know he can." There it was. The lock. The leverage. Marcus wanted her scared, sleep-deprived, and unstable before the board presentation that would decide her division's budget for the year. If she looked rattled, he could claim she was unfit. If she reacted badly, he could make himself look like the victim. If she failed, the people who helped him hide money might quietly welcome him back. And Hayden was in another state. Sloane looked at the scratched deadbolt and then at me. "You should go, Callum. I'll lock up." "No." The word came out before I polished it. I softened my tone. "No. I'm not leaving you alone with a compromised door and a man watching the house." Her eyes lifted. "Hayden's not home tonight. Then I'll stay." The sentence landed in the quiet living room. Not as a flirtation, not as a secret, as a decision with a boundary around it. "I'll stay in the living room until Hayden gets back, or until we have a safer plan," I said. "I'll replace the front lock if you approve it. I'll set temporary exterior cameras if you approve those too. I won't touch your phone, router, laptop, or doors without your yes." Sloane stared at me. For the first time that night, her shoulders lowered a fraction. "You brought tools?" "I'm a corporate security consultant. My trunk looks like paranoia got organized." A tired laugh slipped out of her. "Small? Real? Needed." I pointed to the deadbolt. "May I replace it?" She looked at the door, then back at the laptop, where the subject line still glowed. "Yes," she said. "Please." I changed the lock in 11 minutes. High security cylinder, reinforced strike plate, longer screws biting into the frame. Not perfect. No lock was perfect. But the new deadbolt turned with a clean, heavy metallic click that settled the house by 1 degree. Sloane stood behind me the entire time, arms folded, mug forgotten on the table. When I finished, I stepped back and handed her the new key. "You turn it," I said. She looked surprised. "Why?" "Because it's your door." Her fingers closed around the key. She slid it into the lock and turned. The deadbolt snapped home. Clean, solid. A line drawn. She breathed out. I opened my black case on the entry table. Next step, temporary cameras, front porch, driveway, back patio. They record locally and to an encrypted backup. You control access. You can delete them after this is over. How long will setup take? 20 minutes? She looked at the windows. Do it. By midnight, the house had eyes. Front porch, driveway, patio, side gate. I sat in the armchair across from the couch while Sloane sat with her laptop on the coffee table. The bowl of popcorn remained untouched between us. I had moved to decide only after asking because the remote underneath it was pressing against the trackpad and waking the screen. Little things mattered. People who felt hunted, needed control, returned in small pieces. Her phone buzzed. She looked at it and went still. "May I ask what it says?" I said. She turned the screen toward me instead of handing it over. "Unknown sender. You're hard to reach when your brother isn't around." I did not touch the phone. I took a photo of the screen with my own device, capturing timestamp and sender field, then placed my phone face down on the table. "Do not reply," I said. I wasn't going to. "I know. I'm saying it so the room has a rule." She stared at the message. "He knows Hayden's gone. He might have seen luggage. He might be watching social media. He might be watching the house. We don't assume the worst without evidence. We document and test." Sloane rubbed one thumb against the side of her index finger. A small pressure point, fear trying to hide inside a controlled gesture. "I hate this," she said. "I know. I run a department of 200 people. I negotiate contracts with men who think volume is a strategy. I catch errors in budget forecasts people spent months hiding. And one angry man with too much free time has me scared of my own windows." I looked toward the patio door. The blinds were fully closed now. "He's not powerful because he's smart," I said. "He's powerful because he's vague. We're going to make him specific." She looked at me. "What does that mean?" "Specific times, specific locations, specific messages, specific camera clips, specific witnesses. Fear is fog. Evidence is weather." Her mouth moved like she almost smiled. That was almost poetic. "I apologize. You should The espresso machine in the kitchen hissed suddenly, releasing pressure from its old boiler. Sloane jumped. Then she pressed a hand to her forehead and laughed once, embarrassed. "It does that," she said. "Hayden calls it the dragon. Then the dragon and I will be monitoring the perimeter." That got the smile to stay. Only for a second, but enough. The next morning, the house began its new rhythm. At 6:30, I sat at the kitchen island, reviewing camera logs, while Sloane made coffee. The espresso machine hissed, spat, and rattled like it resented daylight. "Front porch clear," I said. "Driveway clear. Side gate clear." Back patio picked up the neighbor's cat at 3:14. "The orange one? Looks like a criminal." "He is. He steals basil from Hayden's planter. Then I'll mark him as a repeat offender." Sloane set a mug beside my tablet. Not directly in my hand. Beside it, small choices mattered both ways. "Thank you," I said. She looked toward the new deadbolt. "I slept for 3 hours. That's more than 0. I don't know if that counts as optimism. In my line of work, it counts as progress." She leaned against the counter, both hands around her mug. "I have the board presentation next Friday," she said. "Marcus keeps implying he has vendor contracts that can make me look negligent. If those leaks hit before the meeting, the board may pull the expansion budget." "Does he have them?" "I don't know." "Who can authorize server access?" "I can request it. IT and legal have to approve external review." "Good. Send an email now. Copy legal. State that due to documented harassment from a terminated executive, you're authorizing a limited external traffic review through my firm, with employee identifiers masked until council approves release." She blinked. "You already wrote that in your head." "I write most emails in my head. It's a condition." She sent the message at 7:02. At 8:15, legal approved the limited review. At 9:40, IT sent masked traffic summaries. By lunch, we had the answer. Marcus had not taken the vendor contracts. He had downloaded his own expense reports, HR manuals, and a contact sheet before access was revoked. No proprietary vendor files, no budget model, no expansion data. He was bluffing. I turned the laptop toward Sloane. She read the summary twice. Then she sat back like the chair had caught her. "He doesn't have them." "No. He was just trying to make me act like he did." "Yes." Her hand moved toward her thumb again. This time, she stopped herself. That was the first real win. Not the logs. Her stopping. On Thursday, Marcus stepped out of the gray area and into a lobby camera. Sloane texted me at 1:18 p.m. "He's here." Her office was 3 blocks from my firm. I reached the lobby in 4 minutes. I didn't run through the revolving doors. Running gives panic a uniform. I walked in. The lobby was marble, glass, and public hesitation. Marcus stood near the security desk with a manila folder in one hand and a smile sharp enough to count as a weapon. Sloane stood 2 steps away, spine straight, tote bag gripped hard against her side. The security guard watched, unsure whether he was seeing a corporate dispute or harassment. That uncertainty was Marcus's playground. I crossed the floor and stopped beside Sloane, not in front of her. "Do you want me to handle this?" I asked her. Marcus's smile twitched. Sloane looked at me, then at him. Yes, only then did I step between them. "Mr. Vance," I said. His eyes moved over me. "Who are you?" "Callum Price, licensed corporate security consultant for Ms. Thompson, under written authorization." He scoffed. "Corporate security? She needs a guard dog now?" The guard's expression shifted. I kept my voice level. "Ms. Thompson does not accept unsolicited physical documents. If you have legal material, send it through counsel by certified mail. You have been terminated from this property. If you refuse to leave, building security can document trespass. This is a public lobby. It is a privately managed corporate property with controlled access." Your visitor authorization was revoked after termination. The security desk has that record. The guard straightened. Marcus looked at him, then back at me. I just wanted to give her something for the board. No, Sloane said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. Marcus looked past my shoulder. Sloane stepped half a pace to the side so he could see her clearly. I'm not taking anything from you, she said. If you contact me again outside counsel, all included in the protective order filing. For the first time, Marcus's expression cracked. He had expected me to fight. He had not expected her to stand. The folder stayed in his hand. He left with it. I waited until the revolving doors turned behind him before speaking to the guard. We'll need the last 20 minutes of CCTV preserved. Ms. Thompson will send written authorization from legal. Yes, sir, the guard said quickly. In the elevator, Sloane leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. Her breathing shook once, then steadied. You did it, I said. She opened her eyes. You asked me if I wanted help. Yes. No one does that when they think I'm scared. They either take over or tell me I'm fine. You weren't fine. No, she said, but I was still in the room. That sentence stayed with me. That night, Hayden called from Chicago. Sloane put him on speaker while we sat at the kitchen island sorting the CCTV request forms. The espresso machine hissed once behind us, like it wanted to participate. Callum, Hayden said, voice tight. Tell me exactly how bad this is. Bad enough to document. Not bad enough for you to fly home and punch someone. A pause. I wasn't going to punch him. Sloane and I looked at each other. The dragon hissed again. Hayden sighed. Fine. I was considering a strongly worded punch. Denied. I said, Sloane? Hayden asked. His voice softened. Do you want me home? Sloane looked at the new deadbolt, then at the camera tablet, then at me. I want you to finish your site visit, she said. Callum has the house secure. Legal has the file. I'm not alone. My chest tightened once. I looked down at the forms. Hayden was quiet for a beat. Callum? Yeah. Thank you. I knew him well enough to hear everything under the two words. Trust, warning, gratitude, fear. I've got her, I said. I know. Saturday brought the storm. A summer thunderstorm rolled over the cul-de-sac just after dark, turning the windows black and the street silver. Rain hit the roof hard enough to drown the television. Sloane had given up pretending to watch the movie and was reviewing board slides on the couch. I sat at the kitchen island with the courthouse packet open in front of me. Camera clips, emails, CCTV request, police report number, IT authorization, legal memo, threat timeline. The laptop pinged. Front camera motion. A hooded figure stood near the edge of the driveway, just beyond the property line, holding up a phone. I clicked the clip wider. Rain blurred the lens, but the posture was clear. Marcus. Sloane saw my face change. What? Stay inside, I said. I was halfway to the door before I stopped and turned back. Old instinct had almost made it an order. I corrected it. I recommend you stay inside. Keep the door locked and record from the front window. Do you agree? She was already reaching for her phone. Yes. I stepped onto the porch. The rain hit the concrete like thrown gravel. The new deadbolt clicked behind me. That sound mattered. Marcus lowered the phone when he saw me. Recording a private residence after written notice. I called across the rain. That goes into tomorrow's filing. You think you can scare me with paperwork? He shouted. No. I walked to the edge of the property and stopped. Exactly on our side. I think paperwork scares men who depend on gray areas. His face twisted. She'll fail without me. Then let the board decide that after her presentation. She doesn't even know what you are, he snapped. You think standing in her living room makes you noble? Lightning brightened the street for one white second. I kept my hands loose at my sides. He wanted me angry. He wanted a shove, a threat. One ugly sentence he could record and carry into court like a trophy. I gave him nothing.
"Leave, I said."
He stood there long enough for the camera to capture the refusal. Then a patrol car turned slowly into the cul-de-sac. Sloane had called them good. Marcus saw the headlights and backed away. By the time I returned inside, rainwater ran from my hair onto the entry mat. Sloane stood in the foyer with a towel in one hand and her phone in the other. "I recorded everything," she said. Her voice shook, but her hands didn't. I locked the deadbolt. Clean metallic click. "He's gone." She stepped forward and held out the towel. I took it from her instead of letting her wrap it around me. Not because I didn't want the comfort. Because adrenaline can disguise loneliness as permission, and I refused to take advantage of a storm. "Thank you," I said. She understood. I saw the moment she did. Her eyes softened instead of closing off. "You're very careful with me," she said. "I'm careful around fear." "With everyone?" "No." The answer came too fast. The rain filled the silence after it. I dried my face with the towel and looked toward the courthouse packet. "Tomorrow morning, we file." The courthouse smelled like floor wax, old paper, and nerves. Sloane sat beside me on a wooden bench outside courtroom 4B. Navy blazer buttoned, hair pinned back, hands folded over the binder in her lap. Not my binder. Hers. She had asked to carry it. That mattered too. "You're sure it's enough?" she asked. Yes. Because of the clips. Because of the pattern. The damaged lock. Emails. Lobby confrontation. Recording the house after written notice. Police response. IT authorization. All documented. She opened the binder and touched the first tab. Her name was printed at the top. Sloane Thompson. Evidence package. "I used to think documentation meant I was weak," she said. "Like I needed proof because my word wasn't enough. Documentation means you expect the truth to survive other people's opinions." She looked at me. That was almost comforting. I'll reduce my tone next time. The bailiff called her name. Inside, the judge listened without drama. That was what I liked about courtrooms, when they worked properly. Drama waited outside. Inside, there were dates, pages, signatures, and standards. Sloane spoke first. Clear voice, steady hands. "Your Honor, I'm requesting protection because Mr. Vance has created a pattern of unwanted contact after termination, including surveillance of my home and workplace." The judge looked through the packet. I explained the chain of custody when asked. The CCTV, the camera footage, the IT authorization, the police incident number from the storm. No exaggeration. No fear dressed as fact. Only fact. The judge signed the temporary order. Marcus was barred from Sloane's home, workplace, and direct contact pending the full hearing. When we stepped into the courthouse hallway, Sloane stopped under the fluorescent light. For a second, she didn't move. Then she closed the binder slowly against her chest. "The gray area is gone," she said. "Yes?" She looked at the order in her hand, then at me. "You said we'd shrink it." "You did most of the shrinking. I carried the binder. That's not nothing." Her laugh came out uneven, but it was real. By afternoon, she stood in front of her board. I sat in the back row, not as a rescuer, not as a hidden shield, but as a consultant whose job was nearly finished. The boardroom had glass walls, a long table, and 20 people ready to test every number she brought. Sloane clicked to the first slide. No tremor. No shrinking. For 45 minutes, she dismantled every objection. Logistics bottlenecks, vendor controls, expansion costs, fraud prevention, corrected forecasting. She had built the presentation before fear stole her sleep. And now she delivered it like someone taking back the ground under her feet. When a board member asked whether recent personal distractions affected her readiness, the room froze. Sloane didn't. She closed the slide deck. "My personal safety issue has been documented, filed with the court, and separated from this department's operations," she said. If you have concerns about the expansion plan, I'll answer them. If you have concerns about me being harassed by a terminated executive, legal can brief you on how the company is preventing further contact. Silence. Then the CEO nodded. Stay on the plan. The expansion is approved. Sloane's shoulders did not drop. She simply picked up the clicker and moved to the final slide. Competence looks different after fear fails to stop it. It looks like a woman finishing the room. Afterward, in the empty boardroom, I gathered my notes. Sloane stood at the head of the table, looking at the city beyond the glass. Hayden lands tonight, I said. I know. I'll leave the camera credentials on the kitchen island. Legal has the file. The company revoked Marcus's remaining vendor access. Police served the temporary order an hour ago. She turned. You made a handoff list. I make handoff lists. Of course you do. I slid the folder into my bag. My work is almost done. The words sat between us. Clean. Necessary. Painful in a way I had not authorized. Sloane walked slowly down the length of the table. You keep saying that, she said, because it's true. It was true yesterday. I looked at her. And today? Today, Hayden is coming home. Marcus has been served. The board approved the expansion. I am not making choices from fear. She reached into her blazer pocket and pulled out a small brass key, the spare to the new deadbolt. She held it out. I did not take it. Sloane, I'm not asking for a security consultant. I'm younger than you. I own a mirror. I'm Hayden's best friend. He already knows I'm about to ask you something. My eyebrows lifted. She smiled. I called him after the hearing. I told him the threat was handled, and that if I chose to ask you to stay after the contract ended, that would be my decision. My chest tightened. What did he say? He said, and I quote, Callum is terrible at feelings, but he's good at doors. That sounds like Hayden. He also said, if you hurt me, he'll be disappointed in a mature and emotionally devastating way. Worse than violence? Much worse. She stepped closer and placed the key on the table between us instead of pressing it into my hand. Another choice. Another boundary. I don't need you to stay because I'm scared, she said. I'm asking because I'm not. The room went very quiet. I looked at the key. Brass. Solid. No longer compromised. The same sound returned in my memory. The first damaged lock clicking open too easily. Then the new deadbolt snapping cleanly into place. I don't know how to do this without over-checking every exit, I said. Sloane's smile softened. Then check them. Just don't mistake an exit for the only door. That line should have been too polished. But she said it while tapping the table twice with nervous fingers, and the imperfection saved it. I picked up the key. The brass was warm from the room. I'll stay for dinner, I said. Dinner is a start. The front door opened that evening at 8:12. Hayden walked in with a duffel bag over one shoulder, exhaustion on his face, and the expression of a man prepared to hug someone and interrogate someone else. Sloane reached him first. He wrapped both arms around her and held on. I looked away because some things between siblings deserved no audience. When Hayden finally turned to me, he looked at the cameras, the reinforced lock, the folder on the island, the espresso machine hissing like a small, angry dragon. Then he looked at the key in my hand. One eyebrow rose. Sloane? He asked. My choice, she said. Hayden nodded once. Then he pointed at me. Don't make me be emotionally devastating. I've been warned. Good. He dropped his duffel near the stairs. Also, who labeled the neighbor's cat as orange suspect? I did. Hayden looked at Sloane. He can stay. The full protective order was granted 2 weeks later. Marcus did not attend the final hearing in person. His attorney tried to soften the pattern into misunderstandings. The judge did not enjoy that. The order became permanent for 3 years with workplace restrictions no contact terms, and mandatory surrender of company devices still in his possession. Sloane's company completed its internal review. Marcus's remaining access was revoked. Legal referred the embezzlement file to authorities. The board approved Sloane's expansion plan without conditions. The house changed after that. Not overnight. Fear leaves slowly. It checks the windows for a while, even after the locks are fixed. But by the third week, Sloane stopped glancing at the patio door during movies. By the fourth, she forgot to ask about the porch camera until after breakfast. By the sixth, the espresso machine screamed at 6:30 in the morning. The neighbor's cat crossed the driveway like a thief in daylight. And Sloane set 2 mugs on the counter before I opened the tablet. "Orange suspect," I said, reviewing the camera alert. "He has a name." Sloane said, "Criminals often do. His name is Biscuit. That's what he wants you to think." She laughed into her coffee. Hayden groaned from the living room. "I leave you two alone for 1 month, and the cat gets a criminal profile?" Sloane leaned against the counter, wearing a navy cardigan and the kind of calm that had taken work to earn. She looked at the front door. The brass deadbolt caught the morning light. No scratches, no loose strike plate, no gray area. Just a lock that held because someone had asked permission, done the work, and stayed after the emergency stopped, asking him to. Sloane reached across the island and set her hands near mine. Not gripping, not needing, choosing. I turned my palm up. She laced her fingers through mine. The deadbolt clicked once as Hayden left for his morning run, and this time the sound didn't warn me of danger. It sounded like home, learning how to be safe again. The end. Closing thoughts. Core lesson. Real protection is not control. It is clear boundaries, patient documentation, and steady action that helps someone stand on their own ground again. Green flag. Healthy love does not grow from fear, pressure, or needing to be rescued. It gives both people choice, safety, and the freedom to stay when the crisis is over. Like plus subscribe. Please like and subscribe so we can share more stories like this.